Good afternoon, everybody. It's Lisa with Undermined Propaganda. It is Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, 2026. First thing, before I even get into everything, thank you to the subscribers. PT0311, David Cordero, Susan Chapman, Hank Revs, and the one I struggle with so much, Eileen Anithnid. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. All right, on my mind today, let's see here as far as propaganda. I was thinking about Dylan Thomas's line, "Do not go gently into that good night," where he talks about fighting death, fighting to continue to live, and not just going easily into death, and about how we have to continue to fight against the conditions we're living in, the conditions that our political elite and corporations have set up here in America and all over the world. And, one thing I was thinking of is the censorship and how it's so important for every voice possible to get out there and speak against all of the resources and money and effort that the elite put into making sure we only get one side of the story, to making sure that things and policies happen that are to the benefit of them and the elite and to our disadvantage. And one of the things that I saw today was on CNN, Adam Mockler, who is a commentator for Midas Touch. I believe he's like a 23-year-old young man. Fantastic. I haven't seen a whole lot of him, but he was on a CNN panel with Abby Phillips speaking on this illegal war of aggression against Iran and how it's affected his generations and previous wars have affected his generations and how this war needs to end. It's just a bunch of crap. Of course, she has commentators that have the opposing views. People like Scott Jennings, and anybody that watches that knows who he is, knows the type of person he is and what he pushes for. And on this episode, she had Noah Rothman, who worked on the inaugural committee for Trump. And just to give you an idea, one of his books was it's called Unjust: Social Justice and the Unmaking of America. Apologies, I didn't have that memorized. But Unjust: Social Justice and the Unmaking of America, where he argues against racism, argues against, everybody's a victim. That homeless man over there is a victim. He needs to pull himself up by the bootstraps, and America's a meritocracy. The same old lies that they've peddled for decades. That's who this guy is. And then she has Hal Lambert, who is he works for Bridgepoint Capital, and he works with high net worth individuals like J.P. Morgan Chase. So he is part of the elite, and he advocates for the elite. So when you have people like that on the panel, it's good, at least for me. I like to look up a little history on these people to see who's actually arguing these points and know that the motive they have and why they have it. So let's go ahead and take a look real quick at Adam and see what he says on this panel in reference to the war in Iran. Let's see right there.
If the United States has been at war with some country in the Middle East, and young people have constantly been told that this will make us safer and make us better off. But when we look around at the world today, we are less safe and we are worse off. Millennials grew up watching all these headlines saying that Iraq had been, defeated, that we had taken out Saddam Hussein and we had killed all the bad guys. Well, that turned into a grinding counterinsurgency that cost us $1 trillion, and it was a catastrophe. The same thing happened with Afghanistan, and now Gen Zers are going through the same thing with Iraq. We are watching the same people who defended these first two failed wars go on television and defend another failed war. This war is failing. We have not gotten any political concessions, and I'm sorry, I'm not buying this trust the process line. I don't trust the same people who got us into the prior wars, amassed trillions of dollars in debts, and are not putting America first on the global stage.
So putting aside, perhaps for a moment, even the politics of this current moment, is it fair for young people to have that level of distrust of the people, to Adam's point, who maybe defended the last war and were wrong and are defending this war too?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think, honestly, Adam, that's immensely ungrateful to American service personnel and the people who keep us safe every day.
Okay. I'm sorry, I had to stop there. First, shout out to Adam. He's exactly right. They lied us into the war in Iraq. We spent $1 trillion. And not only did we spend $1 trillion, there were thousands of lives lost, American lives. And before I continue, not just American lives, because it's not just about American lives. There were thousands upon tens of thousands, 500,000 Iraqis that lost their lives because we went over into Iraq, into that illegal quagmire that we were lied into there. So good on him. Another thing I want to bring out is what Noah Rothman, the gentleman I was telling you that wrote the book about how, social justice and racism and homelessness is just, everybody playing victim. This guy, that's who this guy is. Let's go back a minute and see how the first response he has here to Adam.
Of the people, to Adam's point, who maybe defended the last war and were wrong and are defending this war too.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think, honestly, Adam, that's immensely ungrateful to American service personnel and the people who keep us safe every day after 9/11.
Okay, right there. The line now going around, if you want to push back against this illegal war in Iran that we are losing and we are being devastated financially and we are killing innocent civilians all over the Middle East, the line to rebuke that is, if you criticize this war, then that means you don't support our troops, you are criticizing our troops, you are, as he said there, you're ungrateful against our troops. Crap, that is crap, that is crap. You can criticize a war and support troops because it's not the troops' fault. Most of those individuals come from poverty or close to it, and they have no other avenue of getting healthcare in America, of having housing in America, of getting an education in America. And these people just do this really, for the most part, out of desperation so they can have some quality of life, because there really isn't any other path anymore in America. Very, very few. So no, it is not criticizing the troops to criticize this war. And it reminds me of this whole thing that we've been dealing with for decades, specifically the past 2.5 years with this genocide in Gaza. Anybody that wants to criticize Israel and their actions, their genocide in Gaza, their sexual assault of Palestinian detainees, their slaughtering of civilians and women and children and innocent men, and their demolition of the Gaza Strip, and now their demolition of Lebanon and killing, now it's thousands of people in Lebanon too, and land theft and imperialism. You want to criticize any of those war crimes, any of those crimes against humanity, you're an anti-Semite. And that's the line that you hear there, and that's what this reminds me of. Now, if you want to criticize the war, oh, you just hate our troops. You hate those young men and women over there serving and risking their lives. No. You actually support troops when you criticize an illegal war of aggression that puts their lives in danger. So, yeah.
It was by no means guaranteed that there would be no mass casualty terrorist attack on American soil in the immediate aftermath of that attack, especially since we had events in Madrid and London, etc. And after the attack on Iraq and the elimination of Saddam Hussein's regime, they took a terrorist supporting enterprise off the map. We don't talk about Iraq anymore as a threat to national security because it isn't. And those who would pretend as though Iran is not a national security threat, and are just frankly dismissive of the extent to which American service personnel get up every day to stop these people from executing the attacks on American and their allies that they plan every single day. This is a thorn in our side. It absorbs a lot of American taxpayer dollars, to say nothing of the energy of our service personnel. And I just think it's just ungrateful. I am so say that the service personnel are not keeping you safe when they are.
No, I feel less safe due to the actions of our leaders. I'm incredibly grateful for our servicemen.
Your feelings don't make a fact.
You are doing
feelings the way you feel doesn't make a fact.
You are doing.
You're
Let me finish. He was talking to me. He was talking to me.
Hold on a second, Hal. I'll let you respond.
No, it's a problem. You are doing the exact same thing that I just laid out in the opening. You are telling young people they shouldn't be asking questions. They shouldn't be questioning the people who
I refuse to ask questions about the nature of the
Okay, then what was ungrateful about what I said? I said that the leaders are making us less safe, and I can prove that. Right now, Iran has control over the Strait of Hormuz, and that is a weapon they didn't have control of 2 months ago.
Of course they did. They shut down the Strait of Hormuz in the 80s. And they opened it up in the 80s.
By the way,
Okay, there he goes again. Just lie. In the 80s, okay, what happened? You're not ever going to get any context here from an individual like that. They'll just spew out something like that. First of all, Iran did not shut down the Strait in the 80s. Like some evil terrorist entity that he wants to portray Iran as. There was a Iran-Iraq war. And guess who supported Iraq? Of course, United States. Guess who was the aggressor in that situation? Who attacked who? Iraq attacked Iran with United States support. Guess what? It was right after the Iranian Revolution in 1979. We, America, and Britain at the time, who was still considered somewhat the empire, specifically attacked Iran to overthrow their leader in 1953 so that we could install a leader that was a puppet to us and would let us steal their resources and control them. So the Iranian people After 1953, after we installed that puppet dictator, by 1979 they had it, and they overthrew that government. So then guess what? America got involved again, because we don't want a sovereign nation that does not bow down to the American empire. So we backed Iraq, we backed that war, we created that scenario, and then there was war going on over there, which made insurers not want to insure vessels, and it caused another catastrophe with oil. And we were there, we were the aggressors once again. You're not going to hear that from him. He's just going to say the evil Iran shut down the strait in 1980.
Iran with a nuclear weapon, you think gas prices are high right now? Iran with a nuclear weapon, we'd have unlimitedly high gas prices. They would take control of the Strait of Hormuz, and they would blackmail the world.
And how much farther away are they from having a nuclear weapon? Where's the enriched uranium right now?
They're not.
Where's the enriched uranium?
We're going to get the enriched uranium.
No, where is it? I want you to answer.
It's buried right now. But
where is it buried?
You're asking me. I'm not in the classified briefings, and neither are you. So just
where is it buried?
Let me finish.
Okay. Adam,
we are more safe than we were before we took out Iran's nuclear capabilities. Absolutely more safe. The Strait of Hormuz is going to be open, and Iran's not going to control it. That is absolutely going to happen. It doesn't matter if it's 2 weeks or 2 months.
It does actually matter, because economists are saying if it's closed for a few more months, then we're going to go into a recession. So it does matter.
No one's predicting that, because the markets that are all-time high.
No one's predicting that?
The markets that are an all-time high. The market's not predicting it.
Well, the oil markets?
Inflation rate has stayed where it is. And by the way,
inflation
unemployment has stayed low. So we're talking about
Oh my goodness. This is good old Hal Lambert, who works for Point Bridge. He was a Point Bridge Capital founder. Who is he? He works for high net worth individuals and gives them advice in investing. People, for example, like JP Morgan Chase. So this is that guy. Conservative, elite, MAGA pusher, warmonger. Why? Because war makes money for the people at the very top. The oil companies have actually doubled their profits since this war began. So he is going to do everything in his power to advocate for continued war. And he flat out just tells preposterous lies here. Unemployment rate is down. Are you kidding me? If it's down, it's because the Trump administration has completely taken any report that says it's gone up and altered it. And they were never good to begin with. There's a lot of data that was not figured correctly before the Trump administration to really show what unemployment is. But the Trump administration is making sure that information does not get out in any clear, concise way to the American people anymore. The fact that he says unemployment is low is a lie. Is the stock market at all-time highs? It is. And it's a house of cards. People like these oil companies profiting off of war are propping it up. These AI evil companies are propping it up. Without them, it collapses. The stock market is for the elite, for the rich. It is no reflection of our economy whatsoever. Inflation, he lies about that too. Inflation is down. Inflation hasn't gone up. Flat out preposterous lie. Anybody that lives any semblance of a normal life knows everything has skyrocketed. Not just gasoline. And oil is in everything. Diesel. Those trucks bring our food. Food prices are skyrocketing. They already were. And again, this is just exacerbated. So this gentleman is absolutely doing everything in his power to uninform people, to try to push for this war to continue, for this war of aggression, this illegal war of aggression. Shout out to Adam Mockler. I believe I already said it, but he is a commentator on Midas Touch. Great follow. It does give me hope. My Generation X and the boomers are just, most of us are so out of touch, and we've been so propagandized that I really truly believe that a lot of our hope lies in these younger generations that just, with social media, other avenues to find information, they've been able to uncover the truth and not become so brainwashed and propagandized in ways that a lot of us have, where it makes it hard for us to see past these lies. We swallow it hook, line, and sinker. I no longer do. Many years of my life I did. I no longer do. You barely have to read anything to understand how much these people are lying. So again, the hope is in the younger generations. Shout out to Adam and shout out to Abby, as much as I could shout out CNN, which I don't normally, but for having somebody like him on to give us, that other side. Other information, alternate information is out there. the actual truths are out there. We're not going to see them. We're not going to find them. We're not going to understand them if we only watch mainstream media, if we only read mainstream publications like the Washington Post, like the New York Times, unfortunately. If that's all that I do, I am not going to get the full story. So just a little rant today about that and my thoughts on the younger generation and the hope they can give us. And I will say it again, Dylan Thomas, do not go into that good night. Do not go gently into that good night. Keep fighting for the truth. Even those of us that are getting older, anything that I do, any conversations that I have, my direction is hoping that the younger generations get a chance at a better quality of life. I'm hoping that the innocent people that have endured so much around the world and in the Middle East get to find some hope and some peace and some quality of life at some point. Anyway, thank you so much to anybody that listened. If you found anything of value, please like, comment, share, subscribe. And most importantly, or I should say very importantly, I hope you find some peace in the rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening, guys. I will talk to you soon. Bye.